Hello, welcome to the drafting class. We are going to be doing the 6.1 tutorial. To begin, after you've launched your AutoCAD 2020 edition, we'll start with hitting the A button at the top. Then we're going to go to New. What this does is bring up your template. Please use the template given. The location that you have stored it may differ. I've stored my template in Documents under the Make Fatter Templates folder. And here I have two options, the ACAD or the ACAD ISO. Please use the ACAD. Open. Now, on your AutoCAD, you may have these icons here at the bottom. These will be needed to be pressed on or off depending upon what we are doing in this assignment. For recording purposes, I'm going to turn off my grid. And if you don't have any of these icons, you should have these three lines. And here you can select turn any of these on or off as needed. So the ones you're looking for are going to be diagnostic input, dynamic input, show snap reference with lines, snap cursor to 2D references, points, and show adaptation objects. Remember, if any of these are not on, you can go here and make sure they have a little check mark right next to their name. That way you can see them. All right. The template will provide you with layers that we will use to work with in this project. I can open and close this tab here by right-clicking on them to show the different layers. Now that we have this information here at the bottom and this information here at the top sorted, I'm going to take a couple of steps to load the image of your handout onto this drawing. In your procedure, you do not have to do this. This is only what I'm doing to demonstrate to you the assignment. Loading my 6.1 image. Now we have an image from the handout that you were given showing the problem 6.1. Now we're going to draw this. Just remember, you do not need this on your drawing. You will be able to start working in your area here. Now, on your crosshair, wherever you're pointing, you'll be able to zoom in and out of your drawing. So, for example, if I use this box as a reference, if I point my cursor over here and I scroll the little mouse wheel on your mouse forward, I can zoom in. If I scroll back, I zoom out. I move to this location here, I can zoom in, and I can zoom out. If I ever get lost in my drawing, and I don't know where I am, I can hit the scroll button twice, like a button, 1, 2, and it zooms to the extents. Now, if you don't have anything on your paper, you will not be able to do that as of yet. For example, let me draw a line. I'm going to go to the Home tab, and draw a line. I'm just going to pick a random spot and just draw it across. Now, one thing I'm going to want to turn on that I don't have on is ortho. Ortho at the bottom of the screen, right here. Click that on. And now you can see my line snaps straight. If I want to draw a diagonal line, I can click that and I can draw a diagonal line. But to make things accurate, as you see the numbers that are flashing back and forth, those numbers I could input distances to help me control where those angles or length goes. It starts with the length, and if I hit the tab key, I can now control the angle. And the length can still be adjusted because I hit the tab key. But if I had punched in on length, it wouldn't change. Tab, let's say 40. Hit tab. Now you can see it's locked at that distance, and I can set the angle. But if I want to draw just a straight line, straight across, I don't want it to change an angle, I can turn my ortho on, and I can just drag it across and just place it by left-clicking. So from here, I have a line. If you're following along and doing this one step, we're just drawing a random line. You click the center scroll button twice, and it zooms to the extents. You can see the line from one side of the screen to the other. If you don't have this window here, that's okay. This is the properties window. I'm going to close this. If you have it, you can close it as well, or you can drag it to the side of the screen, either or. Now, to select multiple entities, I can select on the screen with no command active, and I can go to the right, to the left, or to the right, and highlight objects. If I'm going to the right, then what that does is it highlights objects that are completely within this little box. The other one, the green, will select only the objects that it touches. So for example, if I want this line, I have to draw a big box across this line to use this highlight tool. If I go the other way, I only have to touch it, like this to select it. Once I've done that with my right clicks, so right click, I can now hit the delete button, and that removes that line. From here, you can start anywhere within your drawing. We're going to start with a line command. And I'm going to pick a spot, and I'm going to point to the right-hand direction. And on my drawing, you can see how it says 9, 8, 5.5, 4.0, and 2.0. I'm going to start with the 4 and draw the top line of this image here. So from here, I start with 4. Then I'm going to drop down 1.5, enter. The difference between the 4 and the 4.5 is 1.5. So I'm going to go to the right direction and type in 1.5, enter. Then I'm going to go back up again, moving my mouse, and then type in 1.5, enter. Then I'm going to go in the right direction again. The difference between 5.5 and 8 is going to be 2.5. the 8. From here, I need to do the angle. Now, I can see here that the 8 and 9 is a difference of 1. And if I look at the horizontal dimensions, or the vertical dimensions, I can see that there's a 1 here as well. So I know that this is going to be a 45-degree angle. So with that information, if I draw a line at 1, and then I go 1 down, I can connect those two lines with the end snap. Selecting that object right there. And I can right click and end that command. If for some reason, when you cross over something, you don't have that on, that's where the snap cursor at the bottom of the screen comes into play. You'll also notice that there's an arrow there. If for some reason any of these snaps do not work, you can turn them on. I'll leave this up for a second so you can see it. Endpoint, midpoint, center, node, quadrant, intersection, extension, perpendicular, nearest. Each of these snaps are identified by their icons. You'll see that they are different shapes. When you're in a line command or a movie command or some other command that uses a reference point, you will see these snap points show up wherever they are. Now that I've drawn this, I'm going to select this line here and this line here as well. I'm selecting it with the right click button. Then I can hit the delete button. That removes that from my drawing. So now you can already see the top portion of this has been pretty much completed. We can do a little bit more of this information here. We have the 1 that's already done for us. This is the one that we went down. We can start a new line command. Clicking line. Select the endpoint. And then go down. From there, the difference is going to be 2.5. Right click and enter. You can also end the command by pressing enter key, and that will also end the command. Now we're going to start back here at the front again. Remember to use your zoom commands to get in and out, rolling the scroll forward or pulling it back. From here, we're going to go down 2.5, starting with my line command at the endpoint, going down 2.5, and I'm going to come back in. That distance of 2 that we didn't use earlier is dimensioning that line at the bottom. So we'll dimension that at 2. Then we're going to go down the difference from 3.5 to 2.5, which is 1. Then come back forward 2, or to the left. And then I'm going to head down from there. And I'm going to type in the difference from 3.5 to 6.5. I'm ignoring the 5 for now because I'm going to go straight down from the 3.5 down to the 6.5. And the difference is 3. Now from here, I'm coming to another diagonal. I don't know what this angle is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go the length of 2. And then back up the difference of 5 and 6.5, which would be 1.5. And from there, I'm just going to move my crosshair to the endpoint. Once I see that green square, I'll click it, and then right-click to end, enter. Then I can erase these 2 lines. I now currently have my diagonal. From here, we already know this is at 2. So we're going to do the difference of 2 and 3.5, which is going to be 1.5. Selecting, right-click on the endpoint, moving the mouse to the right, 1.5. And then we're going to go down the difference of 5.0 and 6.5, which is 1.5. And we will continue it to the right. The difference of 3.5 and 6, which is 2.5. Then we're going to go up the difference of 5.5 and 6.5, which is 1. And then we're going to go back to the right again. The difference of 6 and 7, which is 1. And then we're going to go up the difference of 5.5 and 3.5, which is 2. And then dragging the mouse to our right, we can see how the line matches up with the bottom of the other line. The difference of 7 and 9 is 2. So we type in 2 and right-click to enter. And then there's the drawing complete. Now, for the line types, we need this object to highlight by selecting my right-click button and dragging it across from left to right, and then selecting again with my left click on the mouse. From there, it is now selected. I can go to the layers and change it to object, when you're presenting your object, the object layer line type should be used. Hit escape. Next, we're going to do is we're going to dimension this. I'm going to change my layer, which will be my new active layer, to Ano. So now whatever I draw on this layer will now come out on the Ano layer. I'm going to use the linear dimension tool. Now here, this pops up with the annotation scale. I know, and I'm going to let you know as well, that this current scale that we're going to be working with is 1 to 2. You can change this later, but for this step, make our life a little bit easier. Let's go ahead and change it to 1 to 2, and then hit OK. Let's start with the linear dimension. We're going to go ahead and place the first dimension from this endpoint to this endpoint down here. And what happens is now the dimension can be placed. Now, depending upon whether I go up or down in between the 2 points that I clicked, or if I go left to right, changes the way the number is presented. And it changes the value. As you can see, this direction is 2.5, where if I go up, this direction is 2. According to drawing, we need to have our 2 represented from that top corner to this corner right here, somewhat towards the middle. And I'm going to move it into location. And then I'm going to left click the mouse to place it. From here, I can do another linear dimension, clicking the same starting point, because everything is going to be starting from this corner, and then going to the next corner, which this is here, and move up. When you're positioning this, try to make it look nice. You don't want it impacting with the rest of the drawing. You don't want it too far. Just a nice clear distance. Now, instead of going up and hitting the linear command every time, I can use the right click button, and I can get options. I have repeat, dim linear. If I select that, I left click, I can now start at the beginning again and go to my new next point and place another dimension. Be careful not to click on extra snap points. It'll make it look a little bit messy. So want to make sure we're out in a nice clear area when we're moving our mouse and placing the dimension. Right click, repeat dimension, bring it back to the starting point, bring it across, and then placing the dimension. Right click, repeat dimension, click the base point, then we're going to click the other point and place the dimension. Right click, repeat dimension. Let's place this dimension here. Now you see how it overlaps right here? That is fine. One thing that you do want to make sure you note that these dimensions here have a baseline offset. If you click on the right point, it will make that look very nice. So now I'm going to right-click, repeat dimension, place the dimension here, and I'm going to go down to this point right here, and place the dimension. Right-click, repeat, select, select. And I'm just gradually going through and placing all these dimensions here. Linear. Then across the bottom. From the beginning again. And then we need the right side. When you have a situation like this, we could fix that by grabbing the dot here. When you select the object, we grab this dot and just place that in the middle. And that forces the dimension inside the bracket and then forces the arrows out, which is fine. What we want represented here. Once you're done with that, you can hit the escape key. It'll unselect in the selected object. Let us continue with our dimensions. And now we have everything represented and placed on our drawing. For the next step, I'm going to remove this. You do not have to because you don't have it. I'm going to delete it. So now whenever I hit the center scroll button, the extents are the drawing that is on screen. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my screen to 11 by 17 landscape right here at the bottom tab. We're going to left click on that. Now in here, you should be able to hit the center scroll button twice. That zooms into the limits of the paper space. In here, be careful about what you click on. We have a little border right here. This is called the viewport. If you click within the viewport, you become inside model space, looking through paper space. Once I've done that, you notice that the border has become darker. If you see that darker border, that means you are inside of that model space. This is where the drawing was done. If I hit the center scroll button twice, it zooms to the extents of the drawing. From here, once I've zoomed to the extents of the drawing, I'm going to go down to the scale. Scale icon down here tells me what currently the scale is that I'm viewing. Your number will vary, but I'm going to change this to what we discussed earlier as being 1 to 2. Once I do that, my drawing is now in scale. If your numbers don't show up, it may be because you didn't select what dimension scale it is. In the previous step, which is fine. In order to fix that, I'm going to go back to model space. If I highlight any number of dimensions, I can right-click and go to Properties. In the Properties tab, the annotative scale, located here, I could add or remove different scales. If yours does not say 1 to 2, you can go here to add it, and you can select it from the list of different scales that are available. This procedure will have to be done by selecting each and every dimension on your drawing. So I'm going to go back to 11 by 17 landscape with the left click. I am still inside the model space, looking through paper space. If I want to exit this, I can click anywhere in this gray area here twice. Now I am back in paper space. Zooming in and zooming out, depending upon which space you are in, is very irrelevant in this point. For example, if I click inside the viewport, I do not want to zoom in and zoom out. I'm just demonstrating to you how it can be done. But if I zoom in and zoom out, I can change my scale. So I'm going to fix that, hitting the center scroll button twice, zooming to the extents, then going back and changing my scale to what it should be. And then once I'm done selecting on this, if I ever get stuck in that, click outside the window here, and I'm out of the viewport. Now, for you, the only thing you should have left for this drawing is to put the date, your scale, drawn by. Don't worry about the check by. We will check that. Project, and the sheet, 1 of 1. If we had multiple sheets, it would label each sheet accordingly, 1 of 1, 2 of 1, or excuse me, yeah, 2 of 2. So one of 1, if there's only 1, 1 of 2, and then 2 of 2 in successional order, as the last number being the total number of sheets, and the first number being the number of the sheet it is. To change those, if you double click twice, I'm using the left trigger button. We can go ahead and highlight the text and then put in whatever you need as well. Once you're done, you can hit the enter key. Oh, excuse me, not the enter key. Let me undo. Select it. Once you're done typing in what you want to type in, select on the outside, and the text rotates to be the correct location that it was in before. Once you have filled out all the information, we're going to use the print This pop-up, we're not worried about for right now. Continue the single plot. And from here, you will change this to your PDF, DWG to PDF. If you don't have this, seek out one of the teachers in the classroom, and they will help you. Once that's set up, everything else should be pretty much set up for you. We have our monochrome. Our printer is now set. Our page is set because of the template. And our scale of 1 to 1 is accurate for printing to PDF, where the drawing scale will then be in scale because we're printing at a 1 to 1 ratio. I can preview it. And this is what the drawing would look like. I hit the exit. And if I hit OK, it then gives me the option to go ahead and save it. In this case, I would give it the title of the drawing, and then I would save. You'll hit save. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to save this. Another important thing, once you have saved your drawing as a PDF, you may have wanted to save this throughout the drawing. So with that, we have our save button here, and we have a save as. If you don't see either one of those icons, you could also go through the A, and you have save and save as. In your drawing, if it has not already been saved, when you select save, it'll automatically change that feature to save as. Notice here it says save as. You would then give the drawing a name. In this case, since we're doing 6.1, it might be relevant to type in 6.1. Location of the save is very important. Make sure you put it in a location you'll be able to find it. I may recommend you making a new folder. New folder icon is right here. Once you click that, you can then get a new name for a folder. You could put your name on this or the chapter you're working in. My recommendation, start with a name file for yourself. Then from there, inside that folder, so let's go ahead and call this 1 for example's sake. Inside 1, I click twice. I now have a new space. This is the inside of folder 1. Then I can make a new folder. For layman's-see, I'm going to call it 2. This is where I would store the work. So this, instead of labeling it as 2, you would probably label it as the chapter 6. And once you're inside of there, you notice now we are inside the 2. This is where the file name comes into play, and we'll label that drawing and then hit save. If you already have a folder, you don't have to do any of these steps. You can just save it in your work folder already. But remember where you save your drawing, because it will matter later if you ever have to find your drawing again. This has been a McFatter Technical Center tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.